For me, resilience is really about understanding how people in a country like India can cope with the kind of adversity that they have, the kind of innovation, ingenuity that they have been able to find in their lives to be able to cope with, when you look at the excess of water or you look at the scarcity of water. I mean, just look at the way Indians have developed a civilization of the way they have used water. There are parts of India which have just as little as 50 millimeters of rainfall and yet learn to harvest every drop of water. And there are parts of India where floods are part of life. And yet they also learned to live with floods by making sure that they had a drainage system in which every time there was a flood, the flood waters would drain into ponds and tanks and therefore give rise to another economic opportunity of fish and other cultivated crops. And that was the kind of ingenuity that societies had. But Indians lost it. Indians lost resilience because Indians lost the ability to actually live with nature, to actually understand nature, to optimize on it, and to make the best of it. And I think that's what's happened to modern civilization. We have completely lost our links with the outside world. We believe that in some senses man, and I think it is man and not womankind, it is mankind who's believed, the arrogance of mankind, that we believe that we can conquer nature, we can do much more, we can manufacture nature and not have to imitate nature. And I think that's really the difference between a resilient society and a society as vulnerable as we are today in the global context. Today, the global society is extremely weak. It cannot cope with adversity. And the only way it can cope with adversity is if it has a lot of money to build seawalls, or if it has a lot of money to be able to provide its people with quick relief. But even then, it has no culture of dealing with adversity. It has no culture of being resilient. So I think if we are building a resilient society, which we have to in a climate vulnerable world, as the world is becoming more and more, we will need to understand how ancient societies had learned from nature, had imitated nature to build for them a culture of wise use, of prudent use, of careful use, of minimalistic use, and not of arrogant use. And if we can do that, then I think all of human ingenuity, all our innovations will help us to build a prosperous society, not perhaps a wealthy society, but a society with enormous well-being and with enormous resilience. But this also does mean, one, that I'm not sure if anyone in the world can think that we can cope with the kind of crisis that climate change is going to bring in the world. I don't think any society will be resilient to the kind of changes that we are looking at in the future. So if we want to be a resilient society, we also need to cut emissions. We need to do what we know needs to be done, and we need to live within the boundaries of what planet Earth can cope.